Like, share this video, comment, and subscribe to the PLM News Network channel. Our sole responsibilities and purposes are to educate and stand on truth and facts. PLM News Network thanks each of you for your unwavering loyalty and support. Our struggle continues.
So now let's move forward, right? Now we finna get to the downside where things start going wrong. And we know things really start going wrong after August 31st, 1995. When that indictment came, we was in our apex. Then all of a sudden, we start slipping because now all of those who were influential, they got popped off. They start taking over the prison system again. They start taking over Illinois Department of Corrections. We couldn't meet the way we was meeting. We couldn't. It became a rule infraction if you got caught with the literature. So people start getting rid of the literature because they ain't want to lose a year good time. And so now, what happened during that era? Let's address that era now. And now we start having the those who didn't know nothing, who really wasn't plugged. They was there, but they really wasn't plugged. Now they started being the leaders. While the real leaders and those who love the organization was going through prison system and going through the feds and fighting these cases and all this thing. What happened then?
Yeah, that was a bad time, and because as you said, is people who was had to probably had to stepping into those positions, man, that didn't really understand the new concept of where we want. They were saying it, but they really didn't understand the essence of it. And at that time, they knew that the feds had cracked down. So now people reluctant to do certain things, which I thought that they would see that you still could do some things, but we still had the new concept. It still got the blueprint still got, but some people didn't understand the blueprint. It still was a guidance there to guide them to be successful, but they took another approach and just kept tumbling it on down, kept tumbling the structure down, kept tearing it down, from within. Then people tore down from outside of it, but we still had enough strength within to do it. But there was no one there to lay that in, put no more institutions down, man, because they had down those institutions. All they had to do was rebuild institutions, organizational institutions. And we had it right before us, but no one could bring that back together again because no one really the mindset to really do that. Then something happened, man. This this united us, and that was one thing, man, that brought the downturn the whole organization. I thought that when rest in peace when Fatty got out, I thought that it would pick back up momentum. I really did, but that didn't happen like I thought it would.
So what you say, D Mac, then Cash, then I'm gonna give my narrative and let Blatant go. We just kicking it, y'all.
Okay, far as with the downfall, I believe that first in the world, 'cause I was in the penitentiary at time. In the world, I believe that the downfall was saturated with the money. It was loyalty to us than it was to the money. So you was having people that was in position of authority, and the reason why they was in position of authority because they had the backing of people that they were feeding. So really not knowing about what we are, you don't know how to teach the people that are with you. So I believe that was one of the downfalls from the in there. And then it was the same way in the joint. Is whereas that like what Fee was saying, it was a time where we had to start hiding stuff, hiding literature. People was getting away with the literature. We couldn't meet up like we wanted to meet up. It was hard to have literature class and all that type of stuff where we couldn't teach the way we wanted to teach to the organization. So it was people that I believe that wasn't ready for the positions that they was had, like UCs and ICs and all that. They was giving them spots because they was there, and they really didn't have a way to teach the men, or they wasn't being taught. Period. Too. I don't think we had a plan when that time came because at the time the authority they had was taken back over. The feds was involved, street stuff down. They was in the penitentiary. They was in the penitentiaries heavy. They was taking back over their joints and all that type of stuff. I just believe that we didn't have a plan to combat. And some that Tank was saying is that we should have had a plan to keep it, but we didn't have a plan to keep it going. So it was a kind of demise of it, you know what I'm saying? So um that's when people had to step up and people had to step up. And I just want to say this before I close. I got a little story that I tell. When I became the UC in Pontiac, I was helping with the legal staff. I was a paralegal and all that, working in the law library. Sundown came to me and was like, "Man, I'm finna get this to you." And I was like, "No, I can't do it. I'm already up here and I'm up there." He was like, "Well, we don't need you no more." So I was like, "Man, what that mean? You don't need me no more." I was like, "That mean I'm eradicated or whatever?" He was like, "Yeah, shit, we don't need you no more." And I was like, "No, let me do what I need to do." I said, I'm in the law library all the time, 24 hours a day. He was just like, "Man, get you some help out in the cell house assistant, whatever. But time now, you got to do this and you got to do that." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And in the same way, when I first came to jail, like I said, I had a high school diploma, so they came to me. I wanted to be security. I got a fresh 45 years. I wanted to be a security man. Fuck that. Give me a knife and everything like that. They seen in me when the TASE scores and all that came by. I reached the apex with that. So what they told me was like, "Man, you finna go to college." I didn't want to go to college. I'm a street dude. I'm like, "Man, I'm over here." They made me go to college. They made me get a paralegal certificate. They made me work in the law library. They made me be about education. So they seen something in me that nobody else seen. Because I wanted to be with everybody that got the knives and stuff, to do that type of stuff. They said, "No, we ain't got you over there. You got to be over here." So, and that's what I did. So I've been an education guy all the time that I was in the joint because it was forced. It was forced. And then I started liking it. That's my makeup. You know what I'm saying? But they think it was like, "This is for you. We don't want to hear all about that knife stuff and all that. We need you over here." So that's what it was. So I think that's where the downfall came, man. I think we should have,
Yeah.
combat that
What you
far with
say,
the
Cash?
Well, I have to I have to agree to disagree with some of the things that were said before me, not being, not being argumentative or nothing like that. And to the networkers, let me let y'all know they didn't tell y'all no bad information. I'm just gonna give you my opinion about things. So I'm gonna preface what I'm gonna say with the organization was built from the inside out. We started on the inside.
Yes.
And on the inside, we
Mhm.
had provision because we had an assistant. Sometimes we had two. Sometimes we had people that we was grooming underneath us to take our spot when we was gone. That was on the inside after 95. We didn't perish that hard. We made adjustments because Chief told us to be ready for change, and to stand still is to die. So we kept navigating through. When we was on the inside, we was navigating through. And if they
Right.
took me, if I was the IC and they took me, it was somebody that was going to be in place the very next day doing the same thing, carrying the same agenda. On the inside, our
Mm.
our plans and our provisions for that type of thing was already in place because we've watched the guys go to SEG and get transferred and stuff all the time. So we never crumbled on the inside. When it crumbled on the street and they grabbed dad and them and all that, we didn't falter on the inside. We was just as strong as we was before they came and got them. And we stayed like that all the way through. Now, we didn't get to do all of the things that we used to do because what Biggie was fighting for, what Biggie and y'all remember what the Pontiac 17 was way
Yes.
back then? What they
Yes.
was fighting for back
Mm.
then
Yeah.
when Biggie stomped out the warden in Pontiac and got shipped to Stateville, it was about the same thing that they implemented in 95 after those tapes and all of that stuff came out. That was the same stuff they was fighting not to let happen in the joint. So we was cool inside the joint. We just had to change up and change the way we do things. And it
Yeah.
was a blessing that we had brothers like C and Charlie Slim rest in power. You know what I mean? Our brothers could stand up and recite those pieces word for word and put them back in place. And they carried them pieces and they could do it and put them down and get them to the people that we needed to get to because that's what we needed to do was to get the job done. So with that being said, when we went and we look at it from the street, there was no provisions on the streets. There was nobody on the streets grooming somebody to be up under them just in case something happened. There was no predecessors there. When the disconnect came and they took away everybody, it was over. The
Yeah.
people on the street had to bleed. And
Now,
it wasn't no recovery from that. You know what I mean? Whatever we was into, it was over with. That was
so
all over with.
can I address some of this now?
Yeah,
This is what I want to
please.
say.
No.
Everything that y'all saying is true. Everything. And we talking about how the organization start going down. And I said this here. If y'all really think about it, when I first made it to the Illinois Department of Corrections, and Tank can adjust to this here, they had all type of knowledgeable books that we can go to the library and get and read and study. But over time, what started happening is those books start being replaced. Now think about this here, D Mac. Now me and you worked in the library with each other in Pontiac and in Shawnee. The books start strategically being taken off the shelves, and Donald Gorns and Iceberg Slims and Hood novels and all these books start being placed there. So now the knowledge that they was receiving, that knowledge start leaving, and the other stuff was coming in with the dope fiends and the airtight Willie and me, books that we wasn't supposed to be reading or studying because we know it was against our policies, it was against the organization's standards for us to read those books. Now they start coming back and people start reading them. Then we was receiving funding from the streets to fund a lot of the things that we was doing on the inside. And we was sending a lot of information from the inside out. So we was working as a cohesive unit. In and out. This is what they came out with. The pieces was saying this is what's happening inside and out. Because we was working as a cohesive group. But once they start attacking us strategically on the inside, taking the literature away. Then they did the indictment on the street. Now we look at they knew it wasn't gonna have an immediate effect. They knew it wasn't gonna have an immediate effect because you still had me, Cash, D Mac, Tank, Charlie Slim, Jay Dilla. They still had all us in there. But as we start getting old and start focusing on coming home and the new was coming in, they wasn't receiving the same information and knowledge that we was receiving. We didn't have that connect to the streets no more. We didn't have that connect to the streets no more because it was over with.
That's right.
So now you look at it in, let's go into 2002, 03, 04, 05, all up in there. Now you can really start seeing the effects. Because now people start leaving the system who really didn't know nothing. And these were the ones that was coming home that was trying to be in leadership and they didn't know nothing. They start adding stuff, taking stuff away, rewriting stuff when they shouldn't have been doing it. Then you start looking at the originals. The originals was winding up in TAMs. They didn't want to get involved no more. Then you think about Gov. They was old fighting cancer. Gov was still trying to do what he was doing, but he was getting older. And so it was a concerted counter intelligence attack on us. That's what it was, bros. And it was well strategically done against us. Even today, if you walk into somebody, I can come up to Cash and say, "Hey, bro, break this down for me." He can break it down. Let me go to somebody else and say, "Man, break this down for me." Man, I ain't never heard of that. What you talking about? You see what I'm saying? There you
Something I
go.
would like to add to that would be that the disconnect for the younger people coming in was they had seen dad go down and all of the guys around them. And then they started to see guys break the code.
Yeah.
They was breaking silence and secrets. So when the disconnect came in, because guys was like, well, they told on dad. You
Yeah.
can't possibly love me. What you would do to me?
Yes.
I ain't even tripping on you no more.
Mhm.
So it was hard to connect with the streets now. The streets was like, hey, man, we know doing growth and development get us what they just got dude them. We
They
don't
stopped
want
running.
no pause of that.
Yep.
So even when
Mhm.
dudes was coming in, I couldn't even embrace guys and want to show them and want to teach them what was taught to us because they didn't acquire that genuine love for the organization. And then when they seen that happen to
Right.
dad and them, it even further pushed them away. So it we're in the process now of trying to get the love back that was lost during that 95 attack.
Yes.
That was our 9/11.
Yes.
Mhm.
That was our 9/11 before 9/11.
Yeah,
Yes, that was our
I,
9/11.
I agree with
Mhm.
that. I agree with that 100%. You
So,
know, I thought
uh-huh.
that I want to address the brother Blaylen just to reiterate to say that I think that really caused what Cash is saying. That really caused a disconnect with as we was expanding to other places, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, as it was growing and growing in other areas, man. That a lot of information, misinformation, was getting spread. As Fee said, it was a counterintelligence program, so it was dudes who was probably rats. They was going places and making up something and giving the false teachings to these brothers everywhere. Because a lot of rats was traveling. They was getting away from Chicago, running to different places, and telling bro, oh yeah, dude was the this and that, giving false information because they knew it was no repercussions. Nobody was really watching because everything had disenfranchised to a degree. So information not only was the true essence of the new concept wasn't being given out, it was being given false information was being spread. Misinformation was being spread around the country. As you can see right now, as we talking to the brother and the other brothers saying that this dude said this, came and told them something that this is the way that we is. That's this who this is. this who that person is, which we know is not true. We've known all our life what was what. Now we hear different things from different areas. Go ahead, Cat.
Blatant. Let Blatant go.
Oh, Blake. Oh, Blake.
All right. First, I want to say this: in the misinformation of all the false narrative literature, that was the '80s in Alabama specifically. In 1994, 95, when the indictments hit, what was going on in Alabama was plug in, plug out. That's when the new concept really started being spread in Alabama. In 94, 95, that's when guys were given a POA with no staff titles and duties. They were given the creed with no breakdown. Blueprint wasn't even in play. The 1 through 16 came with no definition. That's what was going on in 94 and 95. So that's a few years behind 1981. Respectfully.
Yes, sir. Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
So I don't want to sound like I'm talking down the South, because I'm not. I understand the struggle of the South. And I'm going to uphold and I'm going to stand on what I know we went through. And I'm going to defend it and at the same time enlighten. Because when guys from Chicago came to the South, they were met with a lot of disenchantment. It's like, okay, you saying everything we've been representing, IGD, BGD, the Yellow Brick Road, all this is bogus. So we not even looked at as being real GDs. That's how you coming to us off the break. So if you already coming to us like this, why would we even listen to you? You can't tell us like the work we put in to be able to say we this, the pain we went through to be able to. A lot of us found our sanctuary in doing the things we were doing because of who we were told we were and the information that we had. So now you finna say all my loved ones, you know what I'm saying, passed for nothing? Like it don't mean nothing. All that's bogus? No. It's not just the name anymore. It's the legacy. It's the pain that we shed that you saying don't mean nothing now. Now, on the other end, some guys embraced the plug in, plug out because they were given rewards if you took this POA, even though you didn't know the staff title and duty. If you could remember this, you can get all this stuff over here you need. Go lock that neighborhood down. You know what I'm saying? Kick this back. Make sure this is done. And that's how that transpired. Then, moving on, I got locked up in 2000. As time progressed, it began to be understood what the new concept was because more information was coming. But it was still the issue of we not fully embracing growth and development because you changing what we know this to be. We know this as gangster disciple, or we know this as black gangster disciple, or we know this as insane gangster disciple. Now we'll follow the teachings, quote unquote, of growth and development, but the name change, that shit sounds soft. Who want to be growth and development? That weak man, we gangsters. Because that's the lifestyle we were living because of our conditions. Because as an example again, BGD, 360, IGD, whatever you want to call it, in Chicago was introduced as a gang. So y'all were gang banging. Down south, it came as an organization. It didn't come as a gang. It didn't start becoming gang banging until Crips and Bloods in Alabama, and Crips and Bloods was gang banging. And then here it is. We wear blue, we wear black. So now, because we wear blue, Crips mistaking us and Bloods mistaking us. So now they banging on us. So now we banging back.
Right.
You see, so it was a whole different concept of ideology down here in the South in general. Now, it's a lot of things I have to say because it was a lot of things said that I didn't get a chance to speak about as y'all were talking. So bear with me for a minute. Okay. When a transition happened, as an example of going from the old to the new. For us down south, the old was the unity of David and who? That was the old us. Everything being all as one. So when you say going from old to new, disregard the old, you were saying disregard the unity of David and who? Which how what? Like disregard David and who? Like how if we do that, then who we following?
We can't say that y'all wasn't this because y'all dedicated to what y'all live. So just misinformation. If y'all was getting up on it in the 90s and the 2000s, and it's been an inception since 81, y'all way behind. But it's not y'all fault. It's not y'all fault. So nobody, I don't think nobody here was saying that y'all not real or um, y'all not real gangsters or whatever. We not saying that. It's just the information that was given to you or given y'all was late, and then it was people that really can't tell you what it was. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that come down there and say things they really don't know, so you have to. It's somebody supposed to come down there that actually know. So if it's a plain Jane guy come down there and he giving y'all this and that, and he don't know the definitions himself, or he don't know the list or how it's supposed to be taught or whatever, it's not your fault. It's not y'all fault down there. It's the fault that he gave you the wrong information. Instead of saying, "Hey man, let me get the information from somebody that really know," I'm gonna give it to you like I think it's supposed to be, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all, man.
Let,
It
let
don't
me
matter.
say
You
this
got
here.
you got don't have.
What we saying this here, Blayland, the reason we are on here today is not because we saying that somebody isn't real or nothing like that. It is because we love the organization and we want the brothers to have the real. Not that the brothers are not real. It's just that the
Right.
information that they were receiving wasn't real. The information. See,
Hmm.
Biggie taught us this here. This is what Big Low taught us. Listen, there are no bad followers. There are only bad leaders because
That's all.
the membership is going to follow good leadership. So if they're doing something wrong, you always have to look at the top, those who they are getting it from. You can't fault them. We can't fault. I cannot fault the brothers for the yellow brick road and thinking about the three-headed dragon and over the moon and out in the cornfield. I can't fault those brothers for that. It's who gave it to them, who taught them. That's where the fault lies. That's where the blame lies. That's who has to be held accountable for the action because you are misleading the masses. And I understand sometimes it's going to take brothers and sisters. They're going to say, man, I've been doing this all my life. Now you telling me what I've been doing is wrong? They ain't going to want to let that go. But it's our job to give them the information and allow them to come into their own.